Everyone, welcome to our weekly wrap up. It was a fun week here in first and second grade. In reading this week, we've been talking about making connections. When a student makes a connection to the story, it helps them to understand fully what they've read. So they could make a connection to themselves in their own lives, to another story they've read, or to something they've seen or heard in the world. We looked specifically this week at making connections to ourselves, and we'll look a little bit more at that in the next week. And then we'll look at making connections to other texts that we've read, and then making connections to the world. So other media we've seen like videos, magazines, or just our lives. So get ready for that. In writing this week, we have talked about capitalization and punctuation. As first and second graders, they've been writing their narratives and their informational writing, and now it's time to really kind of start publishing those pieces. And one of the things that's really going to make our writing crystal clear is to have a capital letter at the beginning of every sentence and some kind of punctuation mark at the end. So a period, an exclamation point, or a question mark, depending on what they're asking or saying. So we've talked about when to use those different things and how it will increase our readers' ability to read our stories and to enjoy them. We'll continue working on that in the days ahead. In social studies, we're not quite at science yet, but in social studies this week, we've been finishing up our unit on communities and rural, suburban, and urban communities. And so next week, you'll see coming home a little craft that we did that defines the different types of the communities, as well as the different features that we've been really specifically looking at that each community has. And so you can look through that with your children and ask them questions about the different types of communities. This week in math, we have been talking about coins specifically. First and second graders have both been looking at making exchanges, specifically between pennies worth 1 cent and dimes worth 10 cents, and relating that back to our place value from last week with the cubes and the longs. And we've also been looking at just the value of coins in general. So a penny being worth 1 cent, a nickel being worth 5 cents, and a dime being worth 10 cents. If I have a collection of several coins, how much is the total value? So just continue having them practice that at home. Just, put a few coins on the table, ask them what kind of coins are they and how much is it worth altogether. It's just a real great way to apply the strategies that we're working on here in the classroom, and it's an important life skill to have. Next week, as we look ahead to the week, on February 11th, we will celebrate 100th Day. It will be our 100th day of school. And so coming home tomorrow, they were supposed to come home today, but I forgot to get them in their mailboxes, is a paper that looks like this. So basically, your child is being asked to have a collection of 100 of something. And so they have a brown paper bag attached to the back, and they need to come up with something that they want to put 100 of in here. It has to fit in here, and it has so it can fit in their backpack, basically. And then they have to write some clues about those things on this paper here. So we talked about it here in the classroom today. And so, for example, I gave them the clues of my items can be used to write, my items can be colorful, and my items can be short. And so the students had to guess, and they guessed that they were crayons. And so in my bag, then I would have 100 crayons. It's up to you what you want to put in there. It certainly doesn't have to be a specific item. If your child would prefer just drawing a picture of 100 stars or a collection of 100 smiley faces, that's fine too. But if you want, I know that they tossed around some ideas here in the classroom of like 100 fruit snacks or 100 goldfish. Now, because it's coming to school with your child, if it is a food-like item, they're not going to be able to eat it in the classroom during snack, and probably not at lunch as well, because we're going to be doing an activity with it. So it'll probably end up just coming home in the same bag, and then you can do with it as you wish. So these are due on Tuesday, and it is an expectation that your child does bring something in, because we'll be presenting these in the classroom, and so it will be part of a grade for their listening to other people's clues, their participation in guessing, and then as well as their speaking to present their clues. So please make sure that these come back on Tuesday. Next week is also Valentine's Day, and so February 14th, that's Friday, we will do just a mini tiny celebration here in the classroom just for like half an hour. And so if your children would like to bring Valentines, they need to have one for everybody in the class. And so next week you'll get a list of all the names of the students in the classroom. You certainly don't have to bring a Valentine for the class, but if your child would like to, we will have some time for them to pass them out on Friday in the morning. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to me. They cannot bring any food items or candies. That's something that cannot be brought to pass out. And if that is brought to school, I will send it home just back in their backpack because we can't be sharing food like that due to allergies. So just so you're aware. And then the last thing that I want to remind you about is that we have parent-teacher conferences on Thursday, February 13th. If you have not signed up, please do so. So I would love to be able to touch base with you in person. I love doing these videos for you, but it's so much easier to share exactly what your child is doing when I have a face-to-face time with you. So please do sign up, and I look forward to seeing you at that time and to share all of your child's growth. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Have a good weekend.